So now I'm cooking a bit of beef in the pizza oven, just a low slow cook. I'll talk more about that shortly. I've just got to pull it out and rotate it. Been in for an hour and a half. I've got a temperature probe. Just going to change which piece of meat it goes in. There's two pieces of meat. They're called, or the cut is a tri-tip. Just going to check the temperature in here now. It says on the base stone's about 106 degrees. And the roof about 166 degrees. I've got some smoking chips that I've been using. Had them soaked in water. Just going to put a few more. And I'm leaving the pizza oven wall slightly ajar. And also on the right hand side, so some of the heat can go up the flue. Right, you can see a bit of the smoke coming out of the flue now. That's because of the new bark I've put in. The bark I'm using is just a, one I got from Barbecues Galore, charcoal companion. Sorry about the lighting. Smoking with chip blend for beef and lamb, mesquite and hickory woods. Blended with Cabernet soaked oak wood chips. So I've had them soaking in some water. Okay, that temperature probe goes to this little handheld. You see it's in Fahrenheit, so the bottom reading is 106 degrees Fahrenheit. That piece of meat was on the far right hand side of the pizza oven, and I've just inserted the probe into that. It's been cooking for an hour and a half now. The meat started at about 52 degrees Fahrenheit, and here's some figures I've got here. So I started at about 150. And the temperature was 52 degrees Fahrenheit, then at 228, 82 degrees Fahrenheit, and then at 316, 112 degrees Fahrenheit. Now the 112 degrees Fahrenheit relates to that piece of meat that I removed the probe from. I'm aiming for a core temperature of about 200, 203 degrees Fahrenheit. See, I've got the tri-tip out now, it's looking pretty sweet. Smells fantastic. I know it's at a good temperature to eat, but because it's been cooking long and slow, we actually need to take it further just to make sure that we kill any harmful bacteria that have been breeding in the meat while it's been cooking for such a long time, 3 hours. And I'm just going to sear both sides of this, about 2 minutes each side, just to give it some char marks, give it a bit more crust, or as the Yanks say, a bit more bark. These are very lean cuts of beef. There was no fat cap on them at all. There's a little bit of fat on them and a little bit of silver skin. I trimmed them out completely. One piece I put olive oil on it, the other piece I put mustard on, and then I used a rub, which was basically salt, black pepper, paprika, garlic powder and onion powder, and rub that in all over. So it's smelling great. When I pulled these out, they were about 149 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about pretty close to 65 degrees centigrade, or if you're cooking steak, around about medium. And as I said, that took about 3 hours. And see, one piece here is a little bit thicker than the other piece. That was a piece that was closest to the coals to start off with. And then I rotated it an hour and a half and put that one closer. I'm just going to have to turn the fan up because I'm generating a bit of smoke. I've got the 2 bits of tri-tip in a baking tray now. They're seared off quite well. You can see some little bar marks on them. I'm going to pour in beef stock and a little bit of red wine. Hopefully I won't make too much of a mess, and not directly on it, but on the bottom. Bit of foil doubled over. Before I do that, I better stick the probe in, and I'm going to stick it in the larger piece because I need to get this up to the temperature. And I'm aiming for 203 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 93, 94 degrees centigrade. Now I'm just going to take that, put that straight back in the oven, and with my remote monitor I just keep it, I'll have it set at 195 degrees Fahrenheit, and the alarm will go off. Let me where that's done. That hopefully be about an hour and a half, 2 hours. I've chucked a few more briquettes on it just to stake up the heat a little bit and keep it consistent, and we'll come back when I pull it out. The internal temperatures of those tri-tips have just come up to about 195 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 90 odd degrees centigrade. You can see I've got the cover for the pizza oven just slightly ajar at the top up here. Very hard to see, I suppose. And a little bit, I've just got a little bit of the, well, just about the whole flue in there. Exposed, so most of the heat's inside. So I'm going to take this out, and I know that if I measure that door, it's about 96 degrees, so it's too hot to handle. What that means is I'm not going to burn my hands. I'm going to take that out, and I'll pull this out, and you'll see that the little tray that I had, I've stuck it in a little cooling rack as well, just to keep it above ground. You can see a lot of steam coming out of there, which is hopefully nice. I'm going to turn off this remote sensor over here because I don't need that anymore. Disconnect it. I'm going to grab my other mitt, and I'm going to take this inside, unwrap it, and we'll have a look, eh? Okay, we're inside now. I should have mentioned, no, we're not going to have a look right now. I've got to let this cool down, and I don't want to unwrap it, and I still need the sensor. I want this dropped to about 145 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 62 degrees centigrade, which is if you're cooking steak or something like that, it's about medium. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap that up in a towel, which I've got prepared over here. Then I'm going to stick it in a styrene box, close up the lid, hook up the sensor again, and just wait until that drops to about 145 degrees. I'll reset the sensor on here from 195 back down to 145, and then it should be ready for carving, I reckon. And that might be quite a while yet. It's 10 to 8, and I put these tri-tips on at about, I don't know, about 130, 150. I'm just going to show you this too. The stats that I've been keeping from the time that I stuck the tri-tip in. 17:05, that's 5:05 PM, 149. I stuck it back in with the baking tray and the stock and red wine. A quarter past, dropped into 145, understandably, I suppose. The stock I'd preheated up in the oven for a minute and a half, or the microwave for a minute and a half, but the baking tray was still cold. At 5:33 it was 147 degrees Fahrenheit. At 6:01 it was 153. At 18:27 it was 158. 18:48, so at 6:48 it was 165 degrees. 7:03 174. At 7:16 180 degrees Fahrenheit. 732, 187 degrees, and the current time is 7:51, and the alarm went off at 195 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's my cooking stuff as far as temperature monitoring is concerned. Got the tri-tips in there now, all wrapped up in the blanket styrene box. Could probably use a chili bin for a New Zealand, well, not New Zealand, or an esky if you're in Australia. Just going to leave that like that. Got that hooked up to the remote monitor, which is this part here, and I'm going to turn that on, and I'm going to turn that on, and it'll tell me what temperature it's at. So it's still trying to read at the moment. This is 199 degrees Fahrenheit. It'll probably still continue going for a while, as in increasing temperature. I reckon it'll go up to about 205, continue cooking. I want to take that alarm from 170 down to 145. So I'm going to take it down. Not sure that these work the reverse way, but anyhow, it's on 145 degrees at the moment, and we'll just set that there. I suppose if the alarm stops, that means we're at 145 degrees. Just thought I'd give an update where I am. I pulled the beef off at 1855 at 199 degrees Fahrenheit. At 2026, which is 8:26, it was 187 degrees Fahrenheit. I've stuck it in the chili bin esky styrene box. You see I've wrapped it up in a previous part of this video in a towel and wrapped it all up. Some interim measurements here, 7:32, 187 degrees, 9:18, 171, 9:15, 163 degrees. That doesn't make much of a sense, but anyhow, that's where we are. And just the recent one, 10:18, 154 degrees Fahrenheit, and you can see that on the sensor here, 154 degrees Fahrenheit. I want to bring it down to 145, but before I pull it out of the box. The meat apparently is now 145 degrees Fahrenheit since the last video. See my little stats here. I come down from 154 at 8:18, 151 at 10:36, and where we are now, it's 11:04 p.m. That's where it is on my microwave. So we're going to pull out the meat now. It's probably taking a little bit longer than I expected. We've been going since about, well, we've been going since 10 to 2. I had the oven up at that stage, and the meat temperature was 52 degrees Fahrenheit. We took it all the way up to 199 degrees Fahrenheit at, oh, when was that? 7:55 p.m. Take it out now. Don't think we need these anymore. It's where I want it to be. Why have I chosen 145 degrees Fahrenheit? I really can't give you an answer. Feels nice and warm still. YouTube research. Take out the probe. Get rid of that. Get rid of the towel. Same baking tray, I put it in after sort of the halfway mark. Knife. Cool. Not sure I need tongs or if I need a carving fork here, so probably a bit of both, I suppose. Because we don't know. It smells great. Lots of juice. Certainly, I'll put in half a cup of beef stock and red wine, and there's certainly a lot more there now. So there was a lot of juice in there. That's probably why it's taking a little bit longer than expected. Right, the meat's been there for a while now, as you know. It's important to know which way the grain runs. Tricep usually has two sets of muscles. The Costco cut that I've got here is probably not the traditional cut of tri-tip, and I'll probably have just one set of muscle because it's very lean. So I'm going to cut it this way. Let's see how we go. Make sure we carving fork. It's still oozing juices out here. I don't know if you can see that from the camera there. Let's have a look. It's looking spectacular. I'm going to carve this up, and believe it or not, I'm going to stick it back in that baking tray that I had with the dew that's been created from the cooking. The reason I'm going to do that is because the way I'm going to use it is as a slider in a couple of days' time with some nice fresh bread rolls and some coleslaw for us Australians. Lots of juices coming out of there still. You can just see it just rolling out. I'll have to have a taste. Hopefully you can see that well enough. I'll just move the camera around a little bit. Might even move it in a bit. I'll just keep on carving through this tri-tip. It's a little bit thick. Have I worked out why most of the YouTube videos say take it up to 193, 195 upwards? No, not really. I haven't. If you know the answer, let me know, because I'd like to know what the answer is. And well, this will be the last cut on this tri-tip. So yeah, it still looks very moist, even after 9 hours. 9 hours of cooking. Still looks pretty moist.